Okay, welcome back. We are up to part 3 of creating our shows spreadsheet to allow us to keep track of all the shows that we want to watch and find their providers and see and complete them as we go. So what did we get up to so far? Well, have a look at our code here. We should be actually on video number 3 now. In our previous tutorial, we created a connector to the TMDB, the movie database, that allowed us to get a show by an ID after we searched for that show. With this connector here, we did it with 2 approaches, just to get a single show by ID or get all shows by ID. All shows by ID is going to be helpful for us when we want to update the entire sheet, say with the latest seasons, and find out the new providers and find out when it was last aired to get any updates. Or if we just want a single update after we've searched for our provider using our search shows. And added it into our sheet. Like this. So that's where we're at so far. So in this tutorial, we are going to start building some Google Sheets UI stuff. Finally. So we're going to create this current page here where we get all our new shows that we've added in. And to create the conditional formatting for this season episode compared, if there's a match here, we're going to add in all our checkboxes and then add in this table. A couple of things we won't be doing in this tutorial is this subscribed functionality here. We'll just keep this as a blank checkbox for now, but we will work on the complete section here, which then once you click on complete, we want to run a trigger that moves the row into this watch section here and appends it to the bottom. So let's get cracking. So if you've been playing along already, you should already be up to this stage, but if you are new here and just want to get started from this point in time, there is a link to the starter sheet in the description below. The only thing you will have to do is add your own API key in the API key page for the project. You can head back to the first tutorial for instructions on how to do that. Okay, let's dive in. So we're going to go to shows here and we need to do a bunch of stuff. So we need to build up our headers. What do we got first? First thing is we need to state, are we watching this or not? So this will be like a checkbox. So we'll say watching. Then we want to add in the ID that's retrieved from the movie database. Then we want a little image. So we'll shorthand that with image. And then we'll say name. And then the season episode, which is going to be the drop-down menu of all the episodes in the season. And the last episode, and then up to date. So is it up to date or not? This will trigger when the season episode, when we've moved to the last show currently aired, and it's going to match the last episode. And then we want a last aired date. Why do we want the last aired date? So it helps us determine whether or not the show has finished completely, or if it's on like a season hiatus and it'll be back next season. And then we can like have a look at the homepage to see what's going to happen. And then we want our list of providers. We can better plan who we can subscribe to save a bit of money. And then we want a last check date. And then we want a sub or subscribed. So are we currently subscribed to this provider? And then we want a complete, which is going to be our trigger when we finish the show in its entirety, all seasons ever made. We'll do this and then we'll migrate it over. Complete. Good stuff. Okay, that's as far as we want to go here. Now this is going to be like a true or false. Okay, so now we need to create a table. We're going to have a reluctant play with Google's new tables. So we can do this without tables. We can add in our own checkboxes and format things relatively well. So what we can do is head over to insert, I believe, and perhaps we can go to generate table here, which we'll do. Got a little sample table up here, which I've been working on just before, but let's just say create a table that we just want to indicate that some parts of the table are checkboxes and some are dates. So watching, what else is going to be a checkbox? Up to date. What else have we got? Subbed, and then complete. Checkboxes. Then we'll tell it the IMG is going to be an image function, ID is going to be a number. Last add is going to be a date. And last checked is going to be a date timestamp. Okay, let's see how the AI goes. Yeah, I mean, it's okay. Does a reasonable job. Didn't really read the providers. So one of the pains with this table setup is that you can't start it with blank information and then get it all going. It just seems like two developer groups started working on these tables and chips as opposed to the old developer group who had set out the original sheet. I suppose it's been long enough to do that, but I think the new one just didn't take any heed of what happened previously. Okay, that's my gripe, but that's okay. Let's hit insert to see what happens. Overwrite the data. There it is, cool. Now we had this as green. So I'm going to change the color. Here's another classic example. Look at this. This is your color palette here. Here's what the original Google Sheets color palette is. This nice varied range here. So again, two different developer groups just not talking to each other, or maybe the new one's a bit too arrogant and thought they knew better. Current shows is our title. And then we want to make it this green. There we go. So we're getting close to our original. I want to make these bolder. Our last add date can space out a little bit here. Up to date, it's looking pretty good. Last episode, last season, that's a reasonable size for them. The name needs to be bigger. We often get largest names, and our images, not too bad. The ID's okay, watching's okay. Date timestamp is going to be bigger. So that's all set up. So again, I'm wondering what would happen if I delete all the data. Will it just chuck a nani? We don't know. We'll find out. I'm going to delete this. Okay, good. So we know if we delete the data after the data set's been added, top part will remain, which is nice. And that this is going to be a series of drop-down menus. Our providers list needs to be bigger too. That can be quite long. Last check needs to be wider. Didn't I just have that wider? Grand conspiracy. Okay, that's looking like a reasonable table now. We could probably make season episodes these a little bit smaller. Oh, too small now. There we go. I am satisfied. Do like the little icons here though. They're pretty funky. Okay, let's just keep this data here for now. We can add to it, remove from it, and then when we're done, we're all good. So what we're going to do now is let's add in some conditional formatting that indicates when these two values are the same. And it'll also update this when these two values are the same. Okay, so it's going to look a little bit like this that you see here. So if these two dates are the same, this checkbox will be checked. It allows us to filter if we want or sort. And then it'll be nice color purple to indicate, oi, we're up to date. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is get rid of these true or falses. I'll just delete them. And then we need to put in a formula to match these. Let's create a function. And let's be fairly verbose so we remember what this function does. And this function is also going to be added in programmatically. So we can't just do a direct cell reference. Like for example, if I go here and go, this is this, and then I put this in my code to be added in, then it's I don't know if you're on row 2 or 3. So we need to be able to programmatically add in that row. So we're going to use something called indirect here to do that. So first thing we'll do is we'll say let. Okay, so let is just a way for us to declare variables in Google Sheets. Control enter and just to make it neater, put a space in here, and we'll say current row. And our current row is going to be equal to row. Okay, so just the row declaration here. I'll put a comment in. Okay, so what's row? Just so you don't know, we say row, and it's going to declare the current row. So this is row number 11. Cool, let's head back to our formula. Nice. Control enter again, space, a couple spaces. And here we're going to use indirect. So we'll say indirect. And indirect is a way for us just to get the range by using a text string. And the first thing we want to say is E, capital E, and then we want to append that to the current row. And cool. All right, so we've got a sample up here. It's already recognizing it. Fantastic. So if the current row is equal to, so column E is the season episode. The season episode is equal to the last episode, then we want it to be true. So we'll say indirect again. This time we're going to say F for the last episode. And then ampersand to join current row. Close the brackets and hit enter. Yes, we'll follow the suggestions. Okay, are we matching 4, 9, 4, 9, 3, 8, 3, 8, good, 2, 8, 2, 8, 2, 1, 2, 9, false, 1, 9, 1, 9, true, good, okay. Our formula is working. Now we'll have to put this formula into our code later, but that's for a slightly different time. Okay, so now what we're going to do is also select this range. Now we're going to select the range from the top, I think might be the best. Yeah, from the top, just in case we need to copy this row to add in our conditional formatting later. That might be handy. But anyway, we're going to go to format, conditional formatting, and then we're going to select is custom formula. And we're going to change this to that cool little purple. I think it's this one here. Looks really nice. And then we'll say if G1 is true. So if G1, then do the thing. Now, because this is on G1, it's like starting from G1 and doing every row. You need to lock G in to carry across to all rows. So there we go. So we put in a $sign here to make the columns absolute. And we hit done. All right, super simple. Okay, now we've got a date time stamp in here. We've got subscribed. This will be a formula later. And complete is going to be a trigger. These are not triggered. Okay, I think so far so good. Let's tidy things up a bit. Let's get rid of this. I'm going to hit that column. I'll write across. Delete the columns. Maybe just make this go down to say 20 for now. And delete those. And let's rename this to current. And hit enter. And we can even give it a little bit of green to match maybe. But of course, because the color palette doesn't match this color palette, it makes it hard. I'm assuming it might be this. That'll do. All right. Next, let's create our watched table as well. Okay, so our watch table is going to occur when we click the complete checkbox. It's going to take that row and push it in here. We don't need as much information as the other one, so we're going to say watched. All we really need is the ID, I think. ID, name, season, episode. This is the last one we watched, I think. Yeah, so whatever's going to be in the current season episode. And then a link, just in case. Down the track we go, let's have a rewatch. Rarely happens in this household, but that's okay. And then the date it's completed. Okay, cool. That's all we need there. All right. So that's going to be ID, name, E, let's say Orville, season episode, season SO3E10, link, just put in a, HTTP //Yagisanatode.com. Nice. Completed. Just say today. So I'll hit control and semicolon. Nice. Okay, so let's do this again. So we'll insert, generate a table. I don't know. Let's try matches the criteria in row 2. See what happens. Will it be yucky? Wow, it's having a little bit of a hallucinate, hasn't it? What's it say? I've created a table that matches the criteria in row 2 with watching, up to date, subscribe, complete as checkboxes. Yeah, you sure did, but you didn't do this one. Just create a table, please. It is data. Okay. Yes, we didn't need much, so why did it change the URL? Insert. Sure. Yeah, it changed the URL. That's weird. Okay, let's make this red-ish. whatever this is. And we'll call it watched. And let's just get rid of these, delete, and we'll keep that there. Okay, nothing fancy needs to be done here. That's pretty much it. Let's go down to row 30. We'll delete everything else. Keep it nice and tidy. Bonza. All right, so we've got our basic setup now. Our URL probably needs to be a bit wider. This needs to be a bit smaller. Name needs to be wider. Probably wider still. That's prettier. More gooded. Okay, there we go. Cool. All right, let's get rid of Gemini. I gave it a go. And let's head into some more fun stuff, some clicky clacky, some actual coding we have control over. Good times. So we've done 2 of the 4 tasks so far for today, and that is create our current sheet and our watched sheets here. So the next thing we're going to do is add a show to our current sheet. So head over to your Google Apps script, and we're going to create a new file called addShows, or show, just singular, this one. Okay, so what's this going to do? All right, so this won't be called because that requires a dialogue, and that's a much bigger task, which we'll save probably for the next tutorial. But here we're just going to programmatically add a show to our sheet. So what's it going to do? It's going to, it retrieves the show data from the API and adds it to the sheet. Takes a parameter, which is going to be a number, and that number is going to be called show ID. Okay, so let's call this function addShow, or call it show ID. And then first thing we need to do is grab our spreadsheet. So we'll say const asset, lots of S's today. SS equals spreadsheet app, get active spreadsheet, pink. Then const sheet is equal to ss.get sheet by name, get sheet by ID 2. That's also very good. But we have our names here, and we're going to put this in our refs sheet as a reference because these things could change. So we're going to go back to our code here. Under APIs, we're going to create a new section. We're going to call this current. We could call it sheets and then a child of that called current perhaps, but current's fine. We want to grab the sheet, and that will be the sheet name. That's going to be called current. Cool. Hit save. Rock on. Okay, back to our add shows. Good-o. Next, we need to get the range now. Okay, so we can say const show ID array is going to be equal to sheet dot get range. And what do we want to put in here? We want to get range with, which one is it? It's pink. Oh, it's getting lost at the top here. But essentially, we want to use the numbers values. Let's say one notation, no, lies. I think it might be the first one. Hard to see because it's getting lost at the top, but that's okay. So let me just explain it for you because that's what we're here for. So what it is going to take is 4 parameters, and they're all going to be numbers. The first one is going to be the first row. We could go up and have a look at here and go, okay, what's the first row here? Plug that in, but that's sort of a magic number and a bit of a no-no. So what we're going to do is put that in our refs. So we want the first row. Yeah, we want the ID column. We don't really need to see the watching one because we're not going to be adding to it. And then we also need the last row as well. But essentially, it would be handy for us to have a list of all the columns we have here in our code. So why don't we just go ahead and do that? So I'm going to push this over to here, and let's move this one and make it do this with this. Okay. And one of the benefits of this little tool I have here is it makes this a bit smaller. Gets rid of that sidebar temporarily. Nice black app script for the win. This one here. Okay, but unfortunately I need to go into my editor. Oh, we need to head to our code first and need to do some stuff. So here in our sheet, we want to identify a few things in our current. So first we'll go first underscore row is equal to 2. So that's the first data row here. And we'll say ID col underscore col is equal to 2. Oh, we missed our tag, but we probably won't be using it. But may as well have it in, hey? tag underscore col is equal to 1. Then our image column underscore col is equal to 3. Then name column, episode column, last episode column. Oops. Shows watched. We're going to say shows watched up to date. I think we'll call this show watched up to date. Even better, let's do this. 2 underscore date 7, comma, last episode, which is our next one here. Date. Last episode date. We could make it last air date. That's right. Col, which is 8, not 88, 8. We can just double check this with 2. And we can just say, just smash that across here for a time being. You know what? The table's going to yell at me. It's a bit. It's having a little fart. That's okay. Get rid of it in a minute. Okay, so we're up to number 8, which is this one. And then number 9 is going to be our providers. 9. And then last checked is number 11. I feel I'm missing something here. You know, I feel I'm missing something. You know what we should add? We should add in the home page. Insert left. We'll call this home page. And that's going to be a bunch of URLs. Yeah, but we'll even use the Gemini stuff. URL, URL, URL. Okay, homepage is going to be a bit smaller though. Okay, so we need to shuffle things around a bit now. So homepage is going to be 9 now. Providers is going to be 10. Last checked is going to be 11. Subscribed is going to be 12. And complete. Col. You know what? Last checked should be last check column. Providers. Got lazy. Got lazy. Homepage underscore col. Subscribe column, complete column. It's going to be now 13. Cool. So now if we need to do updates, we just have to update the sheet instead of finding all the locations, trying to figure out what they are. Magic numbers. Huh. Look at that. So first row, we could actually add some comments in here to make things easier on ourselves too. Just describing what they are, the type. Boolean, number. Oh, first row is not a Boolean. This row is a row. It's just the row, right? Tag column is a Boolean. Then ID column is a number. Image is a img function. Name column is a string. Episode column is a string. E01 S02. Same for number 6. I'll copy that down. See? Up to date is going to be a Boolean. Last episode date is going to be a date. Home page is going to be a URL. Let's call it a hyperlink function. Probably make it. No, we'll just make it a, we'll make it a hyperlink. Let's just fix the image up too so we can really clear that it's a Google Sheets function. This is going to be a Google Sheets function too, called a hyperlink. Okay. Providers is going to be a hyperlink as well. It's going to be a funky one though, which we already created. Last check column, going to be a date, timestamp. Is it subscribe? Boolean. Complete column, Boolean. Nice. Looking good. Okay, bring this back into the fold. Let's hit save, head back to our ad shows. All right, so here we are. Okay, so as I said, get range. This is going to take 4 arguments. First argument is the first row. Now we can call our refs current. Nice. And we can look for our first row. So start with an F. There it is there. First row. Look at that. Very explicit. Okay, our next one is our column integer, which is going to start, I think we'll just grab the data from the ID, eh? So let's just go refs dot current dot ID call. Nice. And now it's going to ask us for the number of rows, which is going to be we're going to use the sheet get row. So sheet dot get last row. And that's going to be minus because it's the number of rows, it's going to be minus the refs dot current dot first row plus 1. And now it's asking us for the number of columns. Now for this one, we just want to get the number of columns to make sure we don't put any duplicates in. So here we're just getting these column IDs to make sure there's no dupes. So we'll just say 1 here. And then from here, we want to get the values. It's going to retrieve the values from there. And then we're going to chain in flat. So we're going to change this from a 2D array or matrix into a single array. And then we're going to filter out any blanks, which we can do with, I think, false here, right? That should filter out blanks. Or you could do the row equals arrow function, row does not equal empty. Up to you. I'm going to try false. I want to see how that goes. Okay, so let's console log our shows array. Show ID array. It's a glorious thing here. See how we went. And it runs those. No, we need to add authorization required. Yep. Oh, get sheet by name. We didn't add it in. Refs dot current dot sheet. There. Save. Run. Too busy talking. Oh, flitter. This should also be Boolean, right? It's just a cheeky shorthand way of doing this filtering. Let's do that. Something's falsy, like an empty string. Cool. We know because this is our project, we're not going to put anything down the bottom here. We're good. So cool. We've got all our IDs that match these IDs, so we can compare. Excellent. Okay, so let's make a note here. All right, cool. This is going to be run from our UI that will pop up here. We make our selection, is going to find the ID from the API and bring this back, and then it's going to call this add shows here. So let's just create a little test here. So function, actually let's put in our test like good boys and girls. Test underscore add shows, and we can say const add show response is equal to add show. Well, let's make this add show too, and then we can put in any number, right? So let's start off with a failing condition. Let's say if you want to add in this one here. So now we need to make sure the show ID is a number and it's not in our current existing list. Let's first convert it to a number. So let's first convert this to a number for certain. So we can say const show ID number, and pass int. And if it fails, it's going to return a not a number. Show ID. Cool. So then we can say if show ID number equal, oops, put it on there, is not a number, then we are going to throw a new error. Is show ID could not be passed as a number. Nice. And then also check if show ID array dot includes. Now, if it's in our little array, then we don't want to add it and we want to let people know. So then we can just say show ID number, and we will again throw new error. This show has already been added to the list. Nice. Let's double check those conditions. Let's go to our test. So let's just add in some letters here. Good, the show ID could not be passed as a number. Let's copy one of these numbers back to our test. First, let's make it a string so we can pass it. Should be still okay, run. So it's been coerced into a string with pass integer, but this show has already been added. If it's just a number itself, should get the same. Good. We add an extra integer, a couple of integers in here, should be unique, and nothing happens. Perfect. Okay, let's back to our addShow. Okay. Let's move these back a bit. Nice. All right, so now we need to get the show by ID once we have it. So we're going to say const show data, and we get to call our API interface shows API dot get show. Oh, shows API is a function dot get show by ID. This one here, and it just takes our show ID. So it's going to be show ID number. Cool. So that should return the show ID. So we're going to say const show I. Also give this a console.log show data. Make sure that it gets that. Okay. Console. I think in our previous test we've got an existing show ID for Mr. Robot here. So I'm going to grab that. If not, you can do a search. Get the ID, copy and paste it in. But we'll add it into our tests now. Yay, look at that. Ready to go, Mr. Robot. Perfect. Okay, add shows. Sweet. So it's been loaded up. Okay, so we need to then just check if the show data has an error. Contains errors of a length that's greater than 0. Then we want to display the error to the UI, which we haven't built yet, but we'll just do that. So we'll say throw new error. It's going to be show data dot error dot join, comma. We just want to make the errors comma separated, and that's it, done. Cool. So next, oh, let's keep that console log up here. Cheeky little munchkin. Now we need to get the response data. So we have a look at our log. We want to get response now. So let's go const show data response is equal to show data dot response. Nice. And now we're going to create the array that we're going to put back into our Google Sheet. Or Google Sheet array in our sheet. Okay, so let's say const show array is going to be equal to this, blah, blah, and then we'll say the first one is going to be, so we're going to do everything from left to right. So from here it's going to be false, then the ID. So we'll say false for the tag, and then we want show data response. Let's see if there's completion here. No. Sadness, but that's okay. Let's have a log then. We want the ID. Okay, what else do we want? What's next? It's going to be the image URL. Let's see what we can grab from our logs here. So it's going to be this poster path here. So I'm just going to grab poster path. But we're going to put this in an image. So we'll just use some backticks here. Image, double quotation marks, double quotation marks, $sign, curly braces, show data response, and hit Control V, poster path here. Okay, cool. And next, we want the name. So show data response dot name. Then we want the season episode array. So let's have a look at how that works. Season episode array, but we'll grab, because we're adding in the first time, we'll just set the first item to this first one here. So we will say show response dot season episode array, 0th item here. And then we're going to say show data response again for our last episode. This one here, which is going to be last episode. Then we want to add in the formula here. So this formula here that we created. So I'm going to copy that, move that back into here. And let's not just blanket put it in here. Let's put it over into our code. Go into code here, and we'll add a new section called formulas in our enumerators. And we'll call this up to date. And then we'll use some backticks and add that in. Nice. We'll hit save, put that back. So now we'll go ref dot current dot formulas dot up to date. Cool, and that'll add in that formula for us for here. Tap that out. Now we need last ed date. So it shows, oops, show data response again dot last, what's it called? Last show ed, I think, maybe. Let's just jump in and have a look. Last show ed. Nice. Then because these are smaller, we'll put these in. So we'll say hyperlink. This is going to be the home page. Just going to take the URL, and then we want just the home page as well. We'll just call it home page. So let's put in that URL here, and that's going to be show data response again. I think it just says home page, right? Let's double check. Execution logs down here. Home page, cool. Providers is already set up for us, so that's pretty nice. So show data. I think next one is providers, right? Yep. Show data response. Oops. Dot providers. We want the timestamp. And then we're going to have a current subscription thingy in here, but we haven't done the formula for it yet. So we'll just call this false for now. And then the last one is going to be complete. So we're going to call that false as well. Okay. So let's console log that. Show array. See what happens. Back to our test and run. And 49. Season episode array. Maybe we spelled it wrong. Yeah, I did. Season. Cool. So this is what's going to be appended to our sheet. Okay, false, ID, image, name. So it's going to be a drop down. Yep. Cool. All right. So far, so good. Nearly finished this portion. So we're going to append the row next. So we'll say sheet.append row with our new data. Because we're appending, it just has to be a flat array. So add that bad boy in. Then we need to find the new last row. So const new last row. Why? Because we need to set some data validation. That's going to be equal to sheet.get last row, and then sheet.set row. I'm going to set the row height to be a bit bigger. A row height on that row. And this is going to take the row position, which is the sheet new last row. And we're going to set that to 70. Nice. Okay, so now we need to set data validation on this one to create a drop-down list of all our shows. Okay, so we've got our numbers. Let's get rid of these. Maybe we run a little test. Make sure our row height's set and the append is working as expected. Hit save. Back to our test and run. No reference area. Shit. 64 sheet. Okay, not too bad so far, but we're missing some equal signs here and equal signs there. So let's delete this. Head over to our add shows. Equals. And equals. Hit save again. Hit test. Run. Oh, hey, look at that. It's got the image, the ID. That's looking pretty snazzy. Pretty snazzy. And we got the row height too. Cool. So now let's handle for this drop down menu that we have here. All right, so we may use this on multiple occasions. So it's probably best if we put this as a universal tool. So let's just put this in a components file. Okay, so what do we want to do? We want to create a function called set show data validation. Yeah. What do we want it to take? Let's go back to add shows. Probably want it to take our episode arrays, season episode arrays here, and the sheet that we want to append to, and maybe the column. Yeah, just in case we create another sheet tab with similar stuff, that might be a good idea. Okay, so let's say we want the sheet, we want the row, the column, and the episodes array. Yeah, that's pretty handy now. Let's do that. Okay, so creates the episode data validation for the target cell. Cool. Params. First one is going to be Spreadsheet art sheet. Called the sheet. Param number is going to be the row. Param number again. Column. Param. It's going to be a string, an array string. So episode array e.g episode 01 season 2, for example. Cool. Okay, so let's now find the range first. So range equals sheet dot get range. Sheet dot get. We're gonna sheet range. We want the row. We want the column. That's our range. Okay, and then on data validation, it's equal to spreadsheet art new data validation. So we use the new data validation method. Thank you, Google. And it is going to be, it's going to require a value, require value in a list. Okay, so they're going to be set inside. Each one's not going to be from a range. And then that's going to take the episode. So that list is going to retrieve a string of values, an array of strings, sorry, which is going to be our episode array. Well, that was super easy, wasn't it? And do we want allow invalid? No. So we're going to say set allow invalid to false. And then we're going to build that bad boy. Cool. Now I'm going to hit our range. We're going to get our range. And we want to set that data validation. It's pretty easy, wasn't it? Also going to do that for the entire range later. So this is a good test for how we go. So set data validation. I need to grab this data validation, copy, bink, into here, hit save. Now let's go and grab this back to our ad shows. Put this bad boy in here. Okay, so that's going to need our sheet. It's going to need our row number, so new last row. And it's going to need our column. Fortunately, we've built these in our refs current, so we can just go like this and search for them. It will be our episode column. Yep. Then last argument is the episode array, which is going to be this here. Let's grab that, plonk that in there. Okay, and just to be super generous, let's navigate ourselves to the new row when we're done. So we can say sheet.get range, new last row, just that first range there, and activate current cell. It's going to be that checkbox in the new row. Cool. I think I'm pretty happy with that. Let's hit save. Did we put that in? All right, let's get rid of Mr. Robot. Oh, it's going to throw us an error. And let's have an attempt at bringing that in. So to our test addShow, yep, and let's head back. Hey, look at that. And look at this. Here's our drop-down list. Boom. Fantastic. Okay, cool. And let's make sure our conditional formatting works. No, so maybe we've got to do this conditional formatting as well. Now, fortunately, I think this is the only bit of conditional formatting I have on this sheet. So yucky part of working with conditional formatting in Google Sheets, yeah, that's cool, is that it has to be rebuilt each time. So we can just rebuild this on the sheet for the entire range. You know what's even better? More gooded. Let's see what this does. Instead of having this G7, let's just put this down to G17. Okay, cool. And then we'll get rid of Mr. Robot. And we shouldn't have to worry about it. Let's hit run. And then if we change this, oops. Yay, there we go. Okay, don't even have to code that in, but you could. All right, looking good. So 3 out of 4 tasks done. On to our final task. So in our last bit, when we finish watching a show, we want to go over to the right here and go complete. And that's going to populate this nice little section here. So we have a history of all the shows we watched. Let's create a new file called completeShow. Cool. Now we are going to use, we're going to create a function that takes in a range, and that range is going to be based on this complete column, and it's going to be the first cell in that range. And if that cell's been ticked, then it's going to get migrated across. So what we'll do is create a function called completeShow that takes a range, and let's add some JS doc there. Okay, and that's in our spreadsheet app range. Cool. And so first we want to check if this occurs in the first row, so this one up here, then we don't want to get rid of it at all. So we'll say const row is equal to range dot get row. So it'll allow us to find the row, and then we need to check if the row is less than the refs dot current dot first row. Then we just want to return nothing happens. Now we haven't accounted for the row column, but we'll do that in a minute. We'll do that before we get to this complete show. So we'll do some other validation in a minute to allow us to indicate that we're on the correct column. Now also we need a condition if the range.get value is equal to false, then we also want to return, because if they're ticking it from check to false, we don't want to get rid of it, right? Nice. Okay, now we've done that validation. We're going to grab our sheet. So const sheet from the range. So you can, with Google Sheets, you can go, if you have a range, you can also determine the sheet. So you can go backwards, which is kind of cool. So range.get sheet, and then const, we're going to grab the row data for that sheet. So row data equals sheet, and then we're going to go get range. And you know how you can get an entire row by just going equals, let's do, we'll create an array, and we can go 8:8, and you can see with this orange dotted line here that it's selected the entire row because we haven't put columns in it. That's what we want to do here. So in our range, we're going to say forward tick. We can start out with A, I guess. It's not going to hurt. A, and then we're going to say row, colon, and we're going to do this, row. Nice. And then let's get the values. And we want to flatten the array from a matrix to a single array. So flat. Nice. And then just let's console log this data, the row data for now. Okay, cool. So let's just have a little test here. So function test is equal to complete show, where you need the range. So we need to go spreadsheet. So const range equals spreadsheet app get active. We'll say get range, and get range from the active spreadsheet means we have to add it in as A1 notation. So we can go current, because it's a test, exclamation mark, and it's going to be on this column. So we might just say M8 for now. Oh, let's use one of these rubbish ones. M7, done. And then run the script. So complete show range. Cool, let's put that in, cut it, and put it in our test. Save. Nope, yes, complete show. Run. Oh, we didn't log anything, did we? Sausages. Oh no, we did log something. It's just not getting through. Oh, the value is false. Okay, yeah. So we need it to be true. Okay, pass the test. So, oh, let's do some tests first. Let's make it the first row. Okay, so let's put in a cheeky little console log here. Okay, so if it gets there, we know it's not the first row. Back to test. Fortunately, we can't debug because access token will appear. Let's hit test complete show. Okay, so we shouldn't see that warning, which is correct. Good. So let's move this down to number 7 again. And we should get the first warning, but not the next one, because it will fail because it's not true. So let's hit run. Not first row. Good. All right. So now let's mark number 7 as true. And we should get the console log of the range. There we go. Awesome. Things are working. Okay, because we've got the range now, let's create a new array to append to our complete shows. Const complete array is equal to, and we're going to append again, so we just need a flat array. And then from there, we're going to grab the row data, and we've already got our values listed. So we've got refs. This makes things super easy. Down to current dot. What's our first one? What do we need? Have a look. We want the ID, the name, the season episode, and the link, and then we'll do our own little new date. So ID of some ID call. That's the one. Okay, put that there. But just keep in mind, because we're in an array now, we have to offset by 1 because it starts at 0. So -1 for that one. I do the same. 2, 3. We just change these endpoints. Next one is going to be the name. Next one is going to be the episode. And we could use last episode, but maybe we got sick of the show and don't want to watch it anymore. So let's put it on the episode column. And then we want the link, which I think is actually, we just want the homepage, right? Yeah, let's rename that to homepage. Video. And homepage column. And then we just want to plonk in the current date. So new date, link. Then we want to add that data to our watched list. So we can say Spreadsheet app, get active Spreadsheet, or get active, up to you. Then we want to get sheet by name. And here we want to get the watched sheet. So let's go back to our code here. We haven't added that in yet. I've got current is here. Let's add a comma and go watched. And basically do the same. So we'll say sheet is watched. First row is 2. ID col is 1 this time. It's a number. Got the name and the episode. So next name, season, episode. So let's just copy those two. Change the numbers. 2, 3, and homepage, and we'll call the last one timestamp or submitted. That's 4, 5, date. Cool. We may not use these, but they're handy to have just in case we do draw from them. Back to our complete shows. So now we can say refs dot watched dot sheet dot append row, then complete array. Nice. And now I'll append the row. Let's just slow roll and we'll just go from here. Do a test. Run. Cool. Arcane just got added in. That was super quick. And that was Arcane. Nice. So what we actually want to do, so I'm going to delete that again. Delete. I've got creative, delete. And okay, so it's add in the URL. I'd be curious though to see what happens if this homepage got added in, because it's just setting the values. It should just read homepage, and that is, boys and girls, useless. So let's get rid of Arcane again and head back, run our test. Yeah, homepage. So we need to sort that out. What about if we do this? If we go to our complete shows and instead of get values, we could say get formulas. Yeah, see what this does. And head back to our test and run our test. Okay, something's come up. Stop confusion here. We'll just say, change this to my website. Okay, so we'll keep the values there because it's not grabbing everything. What we might do is also grab the const, call this the home page URL. It's going to be equal to sheet.get range Here we go. Well, we're cooking. And our range this time, fortunately for us, we created our handy dandy stuff here to grab it. So it's going to be the home page column we're going to grab from. Row will be row. And column will be refs dot current dot homepage column. And then we just wanted to get formula. Cool. So now we should replace this one here. So let's just go in and replace the home page with this one. See what happens. And let's hit run. Have a squeezy. Nope, gonna read properties under get row. We go and test. Oh, good test. Okay, now we got Arcane, season 1. There's our formula, fantastic. And that's in there. Excellent. Nice, everything's coming up. Perfect. So the next thing we need to do is go into here and delete this row, which is easy. So come back to complete show, down here, and I'm going to say sheet dot delete row. And that's going to be our row. Nice. So let's see all this in action. Gets rid of these. Let's get rid of these. Delete. Probably even delete this one now. All right, see what happens. And to test and run. Cool. It's been added in. Home page has gone to the right location and it's been deleted from here. Perfect. The very last thing we have to do now is create a little checkbox trigger. And we're going to put this in our code down the bottom underneath our enumerators. And we're going to use the custom Google Sheets on edit trigger. So function dot on edit. And that's going to return an event. And inside that event, we're going to get a range. So const range is going to be equal to, and this event has a range value. Unfortunately though, it's not going to auto-complete like this. So let's just add in a cheeky type here called type spreadsheet dot range. No, spreadsheet at dot range. There we go. Cool. Autocomplete continues. We're going to grab a sheet, so const sheet is equal to range.get sheet. So it's going to be whatever sheet we're on as it's listening. It's going to go, oh, I'm going to get this, I'm going to get this, I'm going to go to this one. It's going to say, oh, I'll get this sheet. And then we also need to get the sheet name. So const sheet name equals sheet.get name. And then what we're going to add in here is a switch statement, just in case we need to do some other on edit work for other sheets or other sections of a sheet tab itself. So let's go switch and let's check the sheet name. And then on the case that it is refs.current.sheet, then we want to go const col and we want to check the column. So range.get column. Now you could do another internal switch statement here, but that's okay. This will be good. So const, do that properly. Nice. And then if col is equal to refs dot current dot complete column. So if it's in the current sheet and on the complete column, so in the current sheet and on the complete column, I'm going to do some stuff. Then let's just note console log and delete that later. Complete column, and we'll put it up here too. Console log current sheet, and just for our own testing, delete afterwards, return. Then we're going to use our complete show with our range in it. then after that, it will break. Okay, so now you can add in another case for a different sheet. So if we had other on edit triggers to run on different sheets, we could do that, but we're not at the moment. Sweet. All right, let's give this a spin. Let's head over to our shows and let's get rid of the theme and click and see what happens. Okay, it's been removed from here and it's on our watch list. There wasn't a home page. It was just like a fake URL. So it didn't matter, but everything else came through perfectly. Date complete was here. Let's change this over to a date and time stamp. Okay, yes. I wonder if you can do this. Date time. Ah, there you go. It'll work from there, even better. Okay, and then our time's coming through perfectly. Cool, let's do another one. Let's get rid of severance. Severance has come up there, appended to the bottom, perfect, correct numbers. Let's say we've got these two complete and I just hit spacebar to check them both. Have a look, Mandalorian, House of the Dragon. House of the Dragon remains, and let's have a look over here. The Mandalorian's the only one being put in, which is the behavior that I want to see. We only want to complete one show at a time, although it's too dangerous to select all and hit spacebar and expect all of them to be removed. So that's exactly what I want. I uncheck things, nothing happened, good. I check things, moved across. Excellent. All right, everything we need to do for this tutorial is now done. In our next tutorial, we are going to do some cool front-end stuff with our modal dialog. So we're going to go search shows, and we're going to generate this modal dialog, search for a show that we want to watch. So just a robot, for example, hit search or enter. And then we can expand and collapse these little search areas. And then we can also add the show to our list. Yes. And the show will be added to our list here using the same scripts that we just generated today. Okay, if you've enjoyed this tutorial, please hit that like button. And if you want to see more tutorials like this, subscribe. And if you want to know when the next episode in this tutorial series is coming out, hit that notification bell. Until next time.